Hi, in this video we're going to do a really quick run through of the process of marking a forms quiz, and we're going to look at it from the perspective of one that's been set from Classroom, because that's the way that you'll generally be doing it. So if we go to our Classroom here, we have this quiz assignment that's been set, and at the moment none of them have been handed in. Now, in an ideal world, I would show you one that had been completed by a number of students, but I don't really want to share data that's been gathered from a whole class. So in this case, it's just going to be showing you how it would look if a single pupil had completed it, but you can kind of from that envisage how it will look if a whole class has done it. And what I thought would be quite good is to actually show you how it looks to complete it from the pupil perspective and see that whole back and forth involved. So if I look at this here, I'll just go through and quickly answer some of these questions, some correctly, some incorrectly. And just randomly click on some of these. I know that I'm getting the answers wrong, that's fine. So this is just to kind of simulate how it looks for a kind of a pupil. So this is what's happened here. Pupils turned it in, and they can have a look at the assignment after they've turned it in. They can see here that it shows that they've done it here and that it's been submitted because they've completed the assignment. So from a teacher's perspective, looking back over here, if we look at this quiz assignment now and view it, we should actually find that one of these has been turned in, and we can see that now test 2 people has completed their quiz. So if we actually click on the form that's shown here, and we then look at it from a point of view, first of all, it appears as though it's just kind of letting us edit the form. So what we need to actually do is we need to go down and click this wee edit button, edit this form. And when we do that, that takes us to the view as the editor where we can see responses. And if we click on responses, it will show us that we've got one response here. Now, some of the questions it will have marked correctly, because they're multiple choice and we could define the answers very clearly. Some it might not have. So what we would usually want to do is actually go through, because the summary is just showing us a kind of outline of the results, not the actual marking of it. So we would probably go through this, and the most sensible way if you have a whole group of students is to go through by question. So if we click on question, that will allow us to mark all of the responses for a given question. In this case, if we had a whole class, it would show all of the responses here, and it will group like responses. So say, for example, 3 pupils had said brown, it would say 3 responses brown, and 10 had said yellow, it would say that, and so on and so forth. And because this is when we created the quiz, this is not the right answer. We made that the case in the multiple choice. You can see it's automatically marked as incorrect. Now you can correct that. You can add a wee tick here to change that if you decided that that was actually the right answer after all. Or you can mark it as incorrect, and you can add feedback by clicking this little button here. And we'll talk a bit more about feedback in a later lesson. So when we have made any changes here, if we save that, we can just cycle through. So we can go to the next question along by using the arrow or the drop down. And again, this one was marked partially correct, but partially incorrect. So we would want to have a look at this and maybe say, well, did they select more than one response? But in this case, it looks like they've not selected all of the right answers here. So they've just selected the wrong one. We can just tick that as being incorrect, and we can move on. So we move on to our next question now, question 3. And again, it will have picked up some of these as correct, some of them as incorrect. You'll see that it's given a mark there for one of the responses, but not for all of them because only one of them was correct. So again, it's pretty straightforward to just kind of work through and mark these questions as either correct or incorrect. And when we've done that, we'll go to the final one here. Microphone, we've got one response as a microphone, that's correct. So we can go along, answer question 3. So say this was a long response. This is one of the ones that the form won't be able to actually automatically mark itself. So we would go into this, and this is where we'd go through the actual question. We'd maybe give however many marks we felt were necessary or appropriate, so say 3 marks. And again, we might add some feedback in there or drop in a marking scheme into the feedback. If you tick mark is correct, be aware that as you see, that's going to change it to giving full marks. So if you want to give a partial mark, you'll have to make that number go up or down before you save it. So having done that, The pupil's response has been marked, and we can go to the individual pupil. You'll see here we can print off their responses, we can release their score from in here, or alternatively, if we go into the quiz assignment in Classroom, you'll see that we can import marks. And if we import grades, that will pick up any grades from that form that have been completed. So you'll see that none of these have been picked up because none of those were completed, but it's dropped that in as a draft score. And if we're happy with that, we could tick that pupil and return their grade to them.